Still standing, even when they thought I'd fall. Lost some pieces, but I didn't lose it all. They took my leg, but they ain't take my fight. The bone collector still rising every night. We don't break, we rebuild from the pain. Boss Up Brotherhood, pressure make diamonds from.
All right, welcome back to Boss Up Brotherhood. We're here with another show. I'm the host, I'm the finisher, known as Boss. And today we're not just having a conversation. We're sitting down with the warrior, one of my closest people that's on this platform, a man who lost his legs. We'll let him tell you about that, but never lost his stand. Y'all know him as the Bone Collector from the Brotherhood, but today we're talking to a man behind the name. The Bone Collector, welcome in. How are you today?
Morning, boss. Doing outstanding. Thank you for having me on.
Always, always. Just so you know that I wanted to do this so everybody can get familiarized with what we're doing over here at Boss Up Brotherhood. I wanted to talk to you about a lot of things that you've been through in your life for the last, let's say, 6 years, because I hear you talk about that a lot. I want to know about the man before the moment, before the loss. Who were you before the amputee?
I lived as if I was immortal, as if I was a super being, Superman. Just a go-getter, hustler, worker, grinder, entrepreneur, construction, family business, extreme sports, motorcycles, just going, just full life, living life, blowing and going, married,
So, so
daughters.
it's okay for me to say that you were living a normal life. That's what a lot of us calls it
Yeah,
in this world. So after the amputee, you can honestly say your life had a drastic change, correct?
absolutely.
I got you. And what kind of kid were you growing up, living your life when before the amputee?
So, Dennis Menace had the calic in the front. Mine was in the back. I just into everything, boss. Just on the go, curious, adventure, bikes, and out in the fields and swimming in ditches and sledding down mountains and playing t-ball and baseball and soccer and wrestling and helping out dad around the house and painting and scraping fascia and eaves and out mowing lawns and just great great upbringing, great work ethic, always needing to stay engaged and active, busy.
So my quick question now, before the amputee, did you have different dreams that you have now compared to then when you had legs and compared to now?
I mean, I understand it so clearly now. I was living my father's dream. Everything was about gaining his approval. We did 20 years in the business. And I adopted it, right? It's like entrepreneur. It's like, make good money, have a good life, have a couple acres, have some nice things and some nice trucks and make that money and be the best. But it was really, I was kind of paralleling that dream, that entrepreneur dream. My mom is a business owner, entrepreneur as well. So I was just the eldest son, just being support, never really developing like I was going towards college and then boom, right into the family business and just put that aside. I was
Did
falling
you?
asleep in my books, in college and in junior college. I would sleep in my books,
I
doing both.
I got you. Did you ever imagine our life would take this turn that you're in right now as we speak today?
No, heck no. I mean, the thing, that feeling in my heart that everything was gonna be all right and everything was gonna make sense was there. I always held on to that. But how it was gonna happen, I mean, towards the end, I was 6 years ago in December of 2019, I was pretty much completely, I won't say given up, but I was putting myself in such a horrible place that the reality was is that it was just a matter of time before the end was near.
And when you say the end, what do you mean the end?
Just bodily failure, just like whether it was harming, getting in my substance use and my alcoholism, endangering myself and endangering others, like, shoot, man, one of the craziest last things I did was float down the float down the Middle Fork River out of Glacier Park on a inflatable beer cooler, just like hypothermic, just like, well, me and my buddy and his lady, just like one day, like, hey, let's go do this. Just wild, just being wild and crazy and unhealthy lifestyle.
And let's talk about mindset a little bit. What was your mindset back then before everything happened to you? What type of person? Like, let's talk about your character a little bit before then.
I've always been a go-getter. I mean, I've always been a figure it out. Don't, eat your vegetables first. Let's go. Let's get it done. Like, we can work before play. Don't, no problem is going to stop. Okay, let's make this the focus. Let's figure this out so we can continue on. I was plowing snow in Montana by myself, like feet and feet and feet of snow out there by myself in the middle of the night, just getting myself out of jams and throwing chains under tires and, just the stuff that I was doing. It was always so fun to be engaged and with the machinery and the contracts and stuff. So I did I've always kind of been that way.
I got you. The day everything changed, I know that was drastic for you. I know that I hear you speak about a lot when you woke up in the hospital and just was in shocked. Can you take us back to that moment that everything shifted?
Still standing, even when they thought I'd fall.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of slow motion though, boss. It was like bracing for impact. People coming in the room. I got strep A in my blood from an unknown source. I was living in peak addiction and substance use and alcoholism. And I got streptococcus A in my blood and I went septic and toxic shock. And I came out of a coma on the 3rd. I went in on the 29th, 2019, December, and I came out on the 2nd of January, 2020. And everyone was looking at me like I was a ghost, From that point in the ICU, getting moved over to a burn ICU in Diego from Palm Desert. I was on vacation. It was just like oh, this is real. Like, this is war. Denial, delusion, moment to moment, It was just a full on battle of the moments to moments and realizing that I couldn't fight anymore. The fear, I couldn't fight the fear of death. I couldn't fight the fear of thinking I knew what was going to happen in the next moment. They stabilized me. They sent me over there to the burn unit. I laid there. They're tending to my wounds on my legs every day. Only to 6 weeks later, they took my feet off first. I'm laying there. They're tending to my wounds. I got no feet on me. Just laying there trying not to move my legs. Because it's reminding me like, hey, that's what's going on down there. Like, do you realize this? Just a slow actualization with the sobriety. I was sobering up. I hadn't been off of or substances for 3 years, 24/7, 8 years total. And so just that constant reality eking into it, like, okay, I'm alive. Like, okay, I ain't doing that again. Like, I'm gonna get through this. Just like this, getting ready and preparing for them to kind of get me to a spot where I'm like, okay, this is what you're gonna be. You're gonna be an above knee amputee. Like, telling my kids, I call them up, like, do you know what an amputee is? They're like, yeah, dad. I'm like, well, your dad is one now. It was just, I was free from the alcoholism, bro. I mean, I felt like I could give myself a break for the first time, brother. Felt like I'd done enough and suffered enough out there, brother.
And I can understand that even though you just spoke a lot about things that was going on in the hospital. Let me ask you a question. How was your emotion? Like, emotionally, like, how were you feeling when you knew all of these things that was going down with you, and how did it make you feel?
I really was at peace. Honestly, I mean, I wasn't in fear anymore. I had to put the fear down. I've come up against fear a lot in my life up until that point. I broke my pelvis when I was 20. I almost got lost out snowboarding in the mountains one day. I almost got stuck out there in the night. I would have probably unalived and hypothermic. I barely got myself, was out of bounds, snowboarding out of bounds. And I've had so many accidents and so many near scrapes. I just was at peace knowing that I wasn't going to have to be that man that was trying to do everything for everyone all the time anymore. Like I had a real issue that was shutting that down, and that I was at peace. I was using humor, using, it was just survival in there. It was brutal in there. The ICU is like, you just end up like resorting to certain type of the light in the mood, because it's so traumatic in there. There's so much going on with all the other people, the children. It's just a really harsh experience. But I had a good attitude, and I knew I needed to get through it, for the sake of getting through it.
And throughout all of that, what was the hardest thing you had to face in your life throughout that time, when you knew that you were going to be through that?
Well, how my fellow man, my peers and my fellows were gonna view me. I mean, there was no denying the way I was living, the wild man I was. I mean, anybody could put two and two together to see that it was part of what was happening to me, that I couldn't run or hide from that anymore. Being a burden to my family, being not being able to compensate or coast through life anymore, and just think that I'm just this great person when I'm not. I'm a good person. I'm good to people, and I'm awful to myself. Living a lie, man. Living a delusional lie, and trying to feel good about who I was, and deep down, I didn't. I didn't. And that all hit me. So
So from the short period of time that me knowing you, and me learning who T-Bone was, I can honestly say that I see that you are a great person. I see that you've given me great advice, and the things that I listen to you when I do speak to you. So I do have another question that, some things I really don't talk about sometimes. Like, did you ever question God or the higher power?
so in the ICU in Palm Desert, when I came out of the coma, I was dead. I was in death. The psychosis, the drugs they had me on, I was experiencing all kinds of, you can call it supernatural, but just, you know, death was staring me in the face. Like, I could feel it trying to oppress me and just put my light out. I had some experiences from the past with psychedelics and stuff. I was reliving these past experiences. I was trying to rationalize and logically understand what was going on. With everyone's looking at me like I'm crazy, but in my mind, they were crazy. I came out of this psychosis and all this crazy place, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna doubt my higher power. I'm gonna get out of his way. Like, I'm going to align with what I know, what I've been taught about. You can call it Christ consciousness, so you just call it. So I was basically like, I was leveraging everything I've ever been taught about um, safety, security, that good person, like, but saying, I can be obedient, I can be disciplined, I can lay that life down, I can turn and go the other way. And I just had peace, because I've had times in my life. In my 20s, I had a stint for 4 years of, like, they called it straight edge back in when I was in my 20s. They called it straight edge. That was in the 2000s. You know, I'd had some times in my life where I've been real close to my higher power, uh, but I was just living rebelliously, you know. So that rebellious part of me was done. I put it down. I was not going to be defiant any longer. I made peace with that. I made a decision that that was not going to be anything I would do anymore, that I would not try and be a good person to the world without being a good person to myself first, and what it would take. I mean, it all hit me. Like, you really want to be good to the world? Like, do you realize, like, you have to be solid yourself first? Like, all this stuff just hit me, boss. Like, I knew exactly what I was going to need to do, and I knew how long it was going to get there. But at that moment in those days, like, in me, it was done. Like, I committed to it, you know?
So my next question, did you ever think about giving up?
Nope, I didn't. I felt like I was either going to turn back to rebellion with anger and the rage that was still living in me. And then I kind of saw the writing on the wall of where that would take me with this situation, and not being, and knowing I can't go back to substances and alcohol anymore. So I knew that the only way I was going to be able to get that out of me and get my, you want to call it vendetta, or, you know, I ain't got no grudges. It's just like, it if I'm gone, if I cease to exist, then game's over for me. So I just realized that I could go about it in a much different way, you know, and still kind of achieve what that spark, that piece of me that's always been in me, is to see things be right, you know, and see people be free, you know, and myself, and be part of that, you know.
So my thing, if me sitting here, besides having this interview now, I had already knew the story before we brought this story about. A lot of people could look at this story and say that this is rock bottom for them. So how does that look? If we can call this rock bottom, how does that look for you?
I would say that I'd had a lot of bottoms that I thought were my bottoms. And in this particular instance, I learned something about myself, that I did have a line, like losing my ability to walk showed me something about myself that I never knew, that I do have a line that can be crossed where I say enough's enough. This is too far now. This is too far gone. Mutilation. I have spent so much time experiencing and looking at other people online and social media. I spent years watching other people who have life traumatic experiences, and the catastrophes that strike their life, and them choosing to live and continue to live. I'm like, are you capable of that? Are you that kind of human being? You thought you were before, are you? Is that really who you are? Are you gonna see if, you know, well, it ain't just like a turn on a light. Like, it's like you gotta live it. Like, you gotta actually do it. Um, the I survived that bottom, you know, boss. I survived it, but it's I've made such peace with it. It almost feels as if that was designed for me. Like, this is the path that I've made peace with it to that point in my mind. Like, this is what was designed for me to understand. To from this point, I may not have the legs underneath me to put with my mindset, but I have other men that have legs. Like, it doesn't even matter anymore. My legs, you know, it's not going to hold me back. Like, I have to realize I'm not going to experience some of the things that I want to, but I did experience a lot of things for 40 years with legs. Now I get to experience all these things without legs. And there is so much in the adaptive community. There is so many things going on. So Yeah, it's just there is a tinge of disgruntledness in me, if I want to access and go there, like not pity, but just like, man, that sucks. But really, I just turn it around and I just see like, okay, now I'm going to see this side, the fullness of this side of this.
All right, let's talk about a little bit. We're gonna take a turn right now. Let's talk a little bit about the identity and power, right? So, as people know, we call him the Bone Collector. Where did that name come from? Where did the name Bone Collector come from, man?
Well, in the panel every day, like people are coming in. The I was a little bit behind the original people, maybe by like 30 days or something. And we started coming up with these tags and these names, and you're giving them, and people are talking, and I'm like, what's my name? They're gonna give me a name, and I just like, I'm T-bone amputees, which I named myself T-bone in the hospital. One day the doctor's like, what do you want to be, Mr. Hobson, Tanner? We'll call you anything you want. And I'm like, I was just over it, man. I was just like, just got my legs removed. I'm on all these medicines. I'm like, T-bone. He's like, what? Everybody's looking at me like, what the heck? So I came up with that, and it stuck. And then my girlfriend brought up the amputee part, and then I added the Z because I'm a tease. But in the panel, like you guys are talking about names, and I'm like, man, Bone, T-bone, Bone. I'm like, Bone Collector. It just popped in my head, boss. And then I was like, that's like the movie, Denzel Washington, I think is. Um, I went online. I was like, define what is Bone Collector, and it's actually a term like in the NBA they use like slang for like stacking up wins. Bones, the bones are wins, the Bone Collector. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's it. And I just decided that was going to be my boss up tag, the Bone Collector, because I stack up
Still
wins.
standing, even when they thought I'd fall. Lost some pieces.
So my big thing now. So, at what point? Because we talk about a lot on Boss Up. We talk about a lot of not being a victim. Like, when did you knew that you wasn't gonna be a victim of the things that you went through in your life?
Well, I will take credit for the victim part in the external and the performative. I was never victim. When it comes to like people and how people treat me, definitely I had a lot of victimhood with that. But deciding, okay, I'm not going to be a victim. I've never been a victim as far as like how I'm going to become independent again, where I don't need help, I don't need support, I don't need a caretaker. And then having boundaries with my world and just turning from that world and saying like, I'm not going to be treated any worse than I treat myself ever again. Like, I'm not going to put myself in that place where I can be a victim. Just learning that over the last 6 years has been choosing where I am, where I go, the people I'm around, how I put down my boundaries. So I just haven't. Thank God, thank goodness, I understood what my parents they didn't allow it, man. We came up hard, man. Me and my brother and sister, like they didn't let us be victims. They didn't let us be weak. They made us rise to the occasion. They made us resilient, and I'm so grateful for that.
So, to me, from understanding and just having this interview and just listening, what does strength look like to you? What advice that you can give to anybody right now at this moment of what does strength look like over the last 6 years of what you've been through?
I've created the language. It's taken me a while to get here, but because I'm here, I use the word sovereignty. Well, if I was giving from a place of martyr, or like trying to like be a do-gooder or be a yes, but like giving from a place that was sacrifice, because it actually did hurt me. It did cost me my sanity. It did cost me my joy. It did cost me my self-love. Like if I'm giving from a place that was oppressing me, but it was okay because I was giving. Now I'm giving to people that would be glad to take till I'm gone, right? So strength to me is like getting myself back to a place where they call it the cup, the overflow, like you're giving from a place of surplus. You're, being able to maintain that place as your default, and giving from a place where you just have the space to give and it's not costing you your own being. That's strength. Because yeah, I may run out, but then I stop. I don't, it's not like life and death out there. These aren't like I'm not stepping in front of a train for somebody. Like on the day-to-day daily grind, like I've got to hold a certain amount of my baseline so that I can maintain me. And then whatever I do, it's real. And it should help people because it's not coming from a place of betraying myself.
And for yourself, it may be a question that I just wanted to ask. At this point right now in your life, did losing your legs make you a stronger person? Tell me a little bit about that. I hope I answered it. I hope I asked the question right.
Yeah, it did because it forced me to stop leaning on all my strengths, and it forced me to look at all my weaknesses. Because let's face it, I don't go running to help my friend move his house. I don't go charging up a hill to grab something, and rush back down. Like I don't. It's so much less performative that it forced me to see all these character flaws, character defects that I had to do with how I treated myself, but just things that just were left undone. It's made me a stronger person in the fact that I was moving at such a fast pace all the time that I wasn't even. It slowed me way down to now. It's almost like I move at a high rate of speed as an amputee because of the person I am, but I'm still slower enough to where it's more like had I operated at this level and honored myself when I had legs, like I would not be making these mistakes. I would not be all revved up all the time. I wouldn't be circling back and redoing things. It's just made me like I'm arriving in life at the moment I'm in, it absolutely has made me a stronger person. But I still ain't going to come help you move your house.
I can truly understand that. So now we're going to get into what one of the main reasons that we're here. So got a question for you. The brotherhood impact. Finding the brotherhood. How did you find the brotherhood? Like how did the brotherhood find you, or you found it? Like, let's talk about that a little bit.
So my sobriety journey, I was like 2.5 years sober before I started going into AA meetings. And I have like my grandparents ran an AA hall in Sturgis, South Dakota back in the 80s. Like I grew up with like to thou and self be true, keep it simple, stupid, like all these AA stuff. But I started going to AA every day, every single day at noon for 3 years, like it was 2022. I started getting really independent. Me and my girlfriend broke up. The one that was with me when I fell ill, she stayed, and we had some falling out stuff. And she went down that path of substance use and all that. She wanted to stay there. We just kind of we ended it. I'm going to AA every single day, and I'm trying to put myself out there and become, social, and get away from that feral lone wolf lifestyle. And I grinded it out 3 years. And it just got to a point where I felt like this isn't aligning with me. I can't be a sponsor. I can't have sponsees. Like I'm not here to preach about how good you are at being in recovery. Like I'm recovered. Like I'm cured, I went online and I started going in lives because I've been on TikTok posting religiously for 6 years. I have never done lives. I've scrolled past them. No interest. There's like I want to I want to spend some time in some panels and see what this is all about, because I'm not doing the AA thing. Like, I'm not getting that fellowship. And I start going to these lives and I'm just getting rocked with all this toxicity, all this stuff. And I find a couple panels here and there. I kind of start getting into some deeper conversations. I'm still not fully aligning. I'm still not really feeling the right alignment. Like, now, mind you, this whole time in these 6 years, in my gut, it's like, I am going to build an army of men. I am going to be surrounded by strong men like me, and we are going to change this world. The whole time, this is my focus. Like, this is my goal, is to link up and align with a bunch of other men with whatever lifestyles, with whatever past, but this sovereign kind of, like this. We're going to get out of the way of our higher powers, and we're going to see this thing happen. And I almost maybe let up on those lives a little bit. And then I popped in the Boss Up Live. And I'm just like listening to you, boss, and the way you let people be people, man. The way you don't judge people. The way you let people just come in there and let us see what's really going on with people out there, man. It takes a while, man. A lot of people don't give each other the space for that, man. I mean, look at all the space I've given myself, man. You know, I got the space to give my fellows, man. I could do that with you. And I align with you, brother. And that's why I'm in there. And that's how it happened.
So one thing I can say that the brotherhood gave you something that you were missing, that fellowship, that them people that you can really come to and really be yourself, and no judgment, no criticism or anything like that. It was 110% just all love, and we pour into each other and help each other grow. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, this this path of getting out it can be ugly. Like, it's not for everyone. Like, let's see where it goes, you know? Like, we've already been through so much with people in the panel. Like, this is just the beginning. Like, you can never try and predict. Like, people have some stuff to get out. Like, they need to be heard. They've been carrying this stuff around. I was carrying 40 years of resentment around with me, you know? It's like, just giving people the moments to be skeptical, to be pessimistic, and see, no, we're still here. We still interested. We still care about you. That's what impacts people. They recognize that. They're like, wait a minute. Oh, crap. These guys are going to throw me away. Oh, shoot. And then they have to look at themselves, you know? It's like, I mean, it's so easy to get out of it when you just go out there in the world and you throw a little bit out there, and then the people treat you like you figured they're going to treat you. Like, yeah, see that? It's all BS, you know? And just go on to the next one, and you're just bouncing around out there in the world with no commitment, with no anchoring, you know? And that's what we do. And you can only do that for so long before you realize you got to settle down and put some roots in, right?
So my question, like, I ask a lot of people this, and you guys already know where I stand as the founder of the Brotherhood. Like, what does Boss Up Brotherhood mean to you? Like, when I say what does it mean to you, like, I really want to know what it means to you, my guy.
If we're saying now that just man up is a toxic way to talk to men, you know, just man up, just get it done. I don't care about, you know, yeah, that is tough to swallow. Like, boss up, it's like, pull your bootstraps up. Like, okay, well, you're that doesn't feel good. It's like, who's coming to save you? What if the last man in line to save you is yourself? Like, are you going to boss up? Are you going to say, are you going to take charge of your own sovereign being? You have to do it here first. This is the proving grounds of what you can govern outside of yourself. Boss up brotherhood. And I'm not alone. And I got brothers aligned with me at my back. They're gonna love when they say you can't let your feelings be facts, you can't let your feelings rule you. It is love. That is love. It's not oppressing you. It's not oppressive. It's not to push you down and say you're gonna stay oppressed and you're going to just stuff that stuff down. It's like, no, you can bring it out. That's part of the boss up. That's part of the brotherhood, but it's not going to rule you. It's not going to define you anymore. And I'll land there.
So my next question, this is a big one. Why do you stay? Like, why do you stay a part of something that you really don't know the direction that it's going? Like, as for me, you know, we've been battling and going through a whole bunch of things of, do people understand the mission, or are people aligned with what we're trying to do? Like, give me some reasons of why do you stay part of the Boss Up Brotherhood?
As long as the brotherhood treats others with
Can't hear you,
respect.
T-Bone. Why do you stay in the Brotherhood, T-Bone?
So going back to the comments I made about the alignment, I have been very discerning and very picky about what I connect or entangle or yoke myself to, because I need the freedom to express some very uncomfortable things to this world and to my fellows. In the brotherhood, we do that through self-reflecting, but we also build repertoire with one another and establish respect levels where we can speak into each other's life, and it's coming from constructive criticism. I have a vision, a macro vision of how grand or how powerful the vehicle of the brotherhood will be. And I've been waiting to connect myself somewhere, knowing it was coming, an army of men coming, not knowing how, not taking my will or taking the wheel and trying to charge ahead with my will is strong. I need to link up and connect. I need to understand that all the pieces are going to fall in place. All the little micro working out. It'll be the beauty of what the brotherhood becomes, and how big the challenges ahead of us are, and how it's going to take all this diversity and all this authenticity of every single person involved. I stay because, like I said, going back, we can maintain our freedom and our individuality and our uniqueness and who we are without feeling like we're getting indoctrinated or crammed into a certain program, to maybe get off track of what this world needs right now is people to put themselves and each other first before a lot of the other goals and focuses that we're just off track as humanity. We're just off track right now. I think we all could see that.
I definitely can understand that. So, oh man, it's so much. I'm not gonna speak about the vision because the people that I'm trying to interview and the people that I'm trying to talk to, I really want you guys to tell me, like, what's your vision of the brotherhood? What do you see the brotherhood? What do you see? What are we doing here?
Like I say, being the mind that I am, if I let the burden hit me and then I try and act in my own smart, in my own mind about how to put pieces together, it's overwhelming. It's too much. The vision of us maintaining how we treat each other, how we make space for each other, how we don't center ourselves, how we let it marinate and let it grow and mature and let it take shape and let it show us, and let how the dynamics between each other show us. And we get a little light over here. Boss, you has taken the name of this thing as the Boss of Brotherhood. Like, that courage that it took to come in there and say, I need a safe place that I can speak with other men about my life and how I can grow. Like, just maintaining what it is, and not letting that be messed with. And then what comes after that, okay, fine. But like realizing like a lot of it is what we have, and as it grows and as people come in to purposely interrupt or accidentally interrupt, just like knowing how to navigate people and knowing how to, how I like to say, it can be overwhelming if I try to start putting too much together in with my will and my finite mind. And so I'm not, like I said, I'm all in on just like what lands in my heart and lands in my gut and what the sacred divine space that it is. And it helps me keep my peace is where I need to create from. So
I got you. So,
I can't go very far, boss, into the
so
future.
you spoke a little bit. What, like, I see over on the platform, when we talk about the platform, we talk about TikTok, and TikTok is what it is, but TikTok is not giving us what we need. So me as the host of the creator of this whole Boss Up Brotherhood, you guys know me, accountability is a big thing for me right now in my life and the things that I do. What does accountability look like to you?
Well, I mean, we know this big phrase getting thrown around, a cognitive dissonance, where we have beliefs inside of us that don't line up. It doesn't take long for anybody who's talking or answering these prompts that you're making to recognize that. It's really nice when people recognize it themselves and how they're living in their life. I mean, how somebody could be portray themselves online a certain way and then live life another way. Like I couldn't even imagine the kind of stress and issues that caused for me being the person I am, but maybe that happens a little bit. But for the most part, just being aligned with what you say and speaking what you are over versus speaking what you think, what you know needs to happen or what you think or believe is the way, like just getting back to that place of accountability where you're actually speaking from where you're living and then letting the lineup, letting the things come and let the revelation and let the impartation and let the examples and the influence of others on the panel start falling into place and start seeing how we can change these behaviors and become new people that are effective, that are actually going to be able to stand up against this darkness and this confusion out there. Accountability, being brave enough and articulate enough as you are, boss, and we are trying to be, to not hurt people in the process, to respect them and show them the honor that they are due, because it's really not something we earn, right? I mean, like we all fall short, they say.
We all do.
Not projecting our garbage onto each other if we still got a bunch in us, understand, owning it and not trying to make it someone else's so that we can hide, hiding in the Boss Up panel.
Ain't none of that. We ain't all right, so we're about to get coming close to the end. If you ran into a man, or you not trying to be funny, if you rolled into a man that you hear him about to end it all, right? What advice would you give him?
The advice comes later, suggestions come later. I lost a man on June 8th, another amputee. I knew him for 2 years. I stood beside him through many, many of those moments, 2 times in particular, and talked him down, or I just there with him. I lost another best friend on the 2nd of February. It was accidental, but he was up to no good. I spent time with him in his despair. I stood beside him in the darkness and recognized the defeat and shouldered some of that pain with him. And I asked, what if you survive it? What are you giving away? What if you can have the life you can have? What if you can have that life? Is it worth the pain that you're in? Is it worth getting through this time? It can end, you can get through this. You can get past this. You can become stronger through this. we have to go through these times. You're not special. You're not being targeted as someone to that, we all men go through these dark times. A lot of us have, a lot of us do. And, ultimately leaving the decision up to that person without pressure, without like they need to live up to my ideas of what like they should do. Like you want me to be your savior, like I can't take that load on me. I'm just a man, inviting them to a beautiful life and to let go of some of that pain and humble themselves, and
I got.
think about others, a little
Hey,
bit.
so T-Bone, when it's all said and done, right? When it's all said and done, and we're where we need to be, how do you want people to remember? Because you know how I say it a lot, like we're gonna be immortal from these videos and these things that we do make and the things that we do talk about. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you want people to remember the Bone Collector from Boss Up Brotherhood?
This morning, I was trying to prepare for our deal, and I had a cup of coffee, and I was going to go find a little quiet place up in the complex. And I step on the curb. I got the coffee here. I set down my bag, but I got the coffee, and I'm on the curb, and I know I'm going to fall. And instead of stopping and putting the coffee down and then grabbing the cars, like step out the curb, like I just boom, I fall. Coffee's on me, my butt's on the ground. I'm sitting there with my nice clothes on, laughing at myself, knowing that it's another thing I didn't pull off in the moment. Just like how easy I take it on myself now, how much fun I enjoy the awkward little challenges and the goofy times and the mundane, like how satisfying it is to me to be in the action, like you ain't gonna find me up there claiming, make big claims. Like I want to go out, like watch what I'm doing and try your best, because you see me over here trying my best, just knowing how much I enjoy the action of life and the little things. And when I stop and I could have put that coffee down, I could have never known if I was gonna fall or not, but I know I was right, like my discernment told me. And it's like I just try and listen to that and be obedient to it, but sometimes it's funny. And anymore, I want people to connect with that align with that place in them where it's not about perfection. It's not about being the, leading, being the only person that has all the answers. It's just like one more person that's an example of like taking very good care of themselves and being able to govern themselves and their mind and their body and their spirit, and just, having that balance. I just want to be an example of that to my fellows. And I want to feel what it's like too, because it's a wonderful experience.
I definitely agree with you on that, man. And I'm gonna close out with this right here. This is why Boss Up Brotherhood exists, and these are the reasons of why I created this whole platform, this whole Boss Up Brotherhood, and things like this. It's not for ego. It's not for clout. It's for the men that refuse to quit, no matter what we go through or whatever we have in life. The Bone Collector did not lose his legs. Like he lost them, but he did not lose them. He gained perspective, and that's power. As you guys can hear his whole story that he spoke, I gave him the floor just so he can give you guys a different perspective on life of being in his situation. And like I said, that's power. If that touched you, sit with it. Understand what he's going through. Understand the things that he's been through in his life. Grow from it, and remember. And Boss Up Brotherhood, like I said, there's no judgment, there's no ego, there's none of that. And remember, us men in Boss Up Brotherhood, we didn't fold. We definitely finished everything that we had to do. And T-Bone, as the host, as the creator of Boss Up, man, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you so much for giving me your time and and having this interview with me. Many more to come, man. And I just want to say thank you to just being here and being a part of this, man. And this concludes our interview. And much love and peace and happiness, man.
Still standing.
Thank you, boss.
Even when they thought I'd fall. Lost some pieces, but I didn't lose it all. They took my leg, but they ain't take my fight. The bone collector still rising every night. We don't break, we rebuild from the pain. Boss Up Brotherhood, pressure make diamonds from rain. If you breathe in, you breathe in for a reason. You finish it with the warrior, there's more than a season. I remember high speed of lights, cold walls. Doctors talking low like they softening the fall. Life changed in a moment, metal and machine. Woke up different, living in a dream. Anger in my chest, questions for God. How I'm supposed to walk when you took my job. But pain introduced you to who you are. When everything gone, you see your scars. They said you were just like that's easy to say, but you ain't the one watching life drift away. Had to rebuild mine before I rebuilt Frank. Lost 2 legs, but I gained my name. Still standing, even when they thought I'd fall. Lost some pieces, but I didn't lose it all. They took my leg, but they ain't take my fight. The bone collector still rising every night. We don't break, we rebuild from the pain. Boss Up Brotherhood, pressure make diamonds from rain. I seen the fire behind his eyes. Not a victim, just a man who survived. Brotherhood ain't built on hype or trends. It's built on men who refuse to bend. Pain either break you or shape your steel. The real ones know how that pressure feels. We ain't here for pity or sympathy. We here for purpose and identity. He lost legs but gained perspective. Lost movement but gained direction. When the man still stand with no foundation, that spiritual elevation. What you lose don't define your name. What you build after does. You can't amputate purpose, you can't amputate love. If you breathing right now, you still in the fight. And the brotherhood standing beside you tonight. Still standing, even when they thought I'd fall. Lost some pieces, but I didn't lose it all. They took my leg, but they ain't take my fight. The bone collector still rising every night. We rebuild from the pain. Boss Up Brotherhood, pressure make diamonds from rain. But it down to the leg. It's a brotherhood deal. It's just nothing you was for. Ain't always a link you gotta stand with. Take from the dark to the light. We remain. Boss Up Brotherhood built from pain. If you broken, you still a man. Stand tall, even if you gotta stand with your hands. I'm angel.